Russian President Vladimir Putin warns of a long war in Ukraine. He says prospects of negotiations grow dimmer by the day. On the ground, Moscow seems to be concentrating on the city of Siversk in Donetsk. Foreign intelligence indicates Russia will likely replenish its forces before initiating fresh attacks on the region. John Gambrell joins us live from Lviv. John, G20 members calling for an end to the war. Any indication on the ground that Moscow is listening to these calls coming out of Bali today?
It doesn't look like it. And keep in mind that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov actually stood up and left the meeting. He didn't even speak at this meeting in Indonesia. There was also a pretty icy relation between him and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. They also did not talk together at this meeting. On the ground here, we're seeing what British military officials are calling an operational pause from the Russians. That they say this means that the Russians are trying to re-equip and rearm their forces. But that's not to say that there isn't continuing violence. In the eastern part of the country, several cities have come under Russian shelling as well as missile attacks in the last 24 to 48 hours. That has seen people killed as well as people wounded. Meanwhile, the Ukrainians are starting to use these U.S.-supplied HIMARS missile systems to target deep inside of Russian-held territory. Those missiles allow the Ukrainians to fire up to 65 kilometers away with almost pinpoint accuracy. In the last 24 hours, the Ukrainians say that they've destroyed at least 35 Russian tanks alone. Now, that may not sound large, but it is in a daily total. So it really shows that those missiles, as U.S. defense officials have said, are really being able to target Russian nodes of communication, logistics, as well as command as this war grinds on.
John, Mr. Putin's comments in Moscow suggest prospects of any solution to this conflict are dim right now. Or is that just tough talk, or is it a fair interpretation?
That's a really good question. That's what the Ukrainians are trying to figure out now. Vladimir Putin yesterday came out and said that it would be very difficult to have any negotiations with a country that continued to fight like Ukraine. He also said that Russia hadn't even begun to fight yet. Now, I've got to say that flies directly in the face of the fact that this has been a war that's been raging for 135 days and a war that Moscow failed to take the capital Kiev early at the start, and that's now why we see this artillery long-range fire warfare in Ukraine's east. It's a brutal street by street, block by block, kilometer by kilometer fight between the Russians and the Ukrainians right now, and Putin may be trying to posture as he worries that Ukraine is rearming, as his forces also try to regroup and rearm for weeks more of fighting.
And thanks so much for that update and all those details as well. John Gambrell in Lviv.